this. And even the state of emergency and the curfews, which others, including members on the other side, have actually scoffed about. The reality is that when you reduce socializations, then it helps to reduce the risk of transmission. It works every time. That is why these curfews are introduced from time to time whenever we see an escalation in the transmission of COVID. And we have to understand too that the Omicron virus is far more transmittable than the Delta virus. So we'll be monitoring the situation on a weekly basis, Mr. Speaker. And if we see an increase in the transmission of COVID, especially the Omicron variant, then we may well have to come back to Parliament and to introduce a new state of emergency and to introduce a curfew. Again, as I said, they are a necessary tool to manage down any increase in the amount of active COVID cases. And, you know, I understand that there will always be political differences between the government and the opposing party. But when it comes to health, I don't know that this needs to be, you know, a battleground issue and members on the other side need to take these unsustainable positions and to nitpick as to whether or not, a state of emergency is appropriate. What turns on that? The reality is, Mr. Speaker, with the state of emergency in place, it didn't prevent anybody from doing anything. But what we do know is that having the state of emergency in place, it gave us the legal authority to introduce the curfew and to curtail the movement of people, which is a constitutional right that could be challenged. So all we're seeking to do, Mr. Speaker, by having the state of emergency is to give support to the policy of having a curfew in place to prevent any legal challenge that could prove to be successful. And that is what you call proactive leadership, not to expose yourself and then create a legal opening for people to challenge and then they go to court and just undermine the whole process. So I want to appeal to the member for Barbuda, and if the member for All Saints joins later, for there to be some level of maturity in their response. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this thing together. It's a threat facing all of us. COVID is not only a threat to members of the government, it's also a threat to those of you in opposition. And I don't know why on this issue that we cannot coalesce and to fight it collectively. I mean, you're all fighting the vaccines instead of fighting COVID. That is just totally inappropriate. But having said that, I am mindful, Mr. Speaker, that the majority of the people of Antigua and Barbuda are very responsible. And that has been demonstrated in the amount of vaccinations. The fact that we're at 60% of the population, it shows a level of responsibility, because even though we introduced the mandates, the reality is they could have rioted, as in the case of other countries, and we didn't see that level of protestation. And I want to commend the people of Antigua and Barbuda